There's a part of us that wants to believe we're better now, that we've evolved, that after all the bloodshed, all the speeches, all the treaties, we've finally learned something. But then the bombs fall again. Flags are raised, propaganda returns, and people die. And we whisper to ourselves, why is this still happening? But maybe we've been asking the wrong question. It's not why war keeps happening. It's why we keep pretending it won't. This isn't just about Iran or Israel, not about Ukraine, not about Gaza. This is about us, you, me, all of humanity, caught in a loop we refuse to acknowledge. Because the truth is this: war isn't a glitch in the system. It is the system. And unless we understand that, it will never end. Every generation grows up being told a version of the same story. We used to be violent. We used to be brutal. But we've evolved. We point to our skyscrapers, our global trade, our social media, our AI. We talk about diplomacy, international law, global cooperation. But behind every peace treaty is a weapon no one put down, only hid better. Because peace in the modern world isn't peace. It's a cold pause, a tense silence. It's two people smiling across a table while both have a knife hidden under it. In history, it's not a line of progress. It's a cycle of repetition, camouflaged by better PR. After World War I, they called it the war to end all wars. Then came World War II. After that, the Cold War, Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Ukraine, Gaza, and now maybe Iran and Israel. Every decade, a new name, a new headline, a new reason, but always the same result. People die and power shifts. We tell ourselves we've changed. But if war was a symptom, then humanity is the disease we never cured. Even in times of so-called peace, nations spend billions preparing for war. And why wouldn't they? Because peace doesn't make profit. War does, because peace doesn't breed fear. War does, and fear is the most powerful currency a government can hold. It justifies surveillance. It excuses censorship. It creates an enemy, which means we can finally forget how broken we are inside. And so war comes again, not as an invader, but as an old friend, familiar, welcome, profitable. And what's worse, we accept it. We repost our flags. We cheer for our side. We demonize the other. And we sleep soundly, convinced that this time our war is justified. This time it's different, but it's never different. Because the battlefield isn't just out there, it's in our minds. And until we rewrite that story, we'll never stop playing it. Beneath every war, beneath every border drawn in blood, there's something older than politics, something deeper than religion, something far more terrifying than any weapon. It's ego. Not just the ego of presidents or generals, but the ego in all of us, that ancient part of the human psyche that whispers, I must win. I must be right. I must be in control. You see, war is not always about survival. Often it's about dominance. It's about the high a man gets when he sees his flag flying over what once belonged to someone else. It's about proving a point by erasing people. We like to believe that our wars are strategic, that they're logical, calculated, necessary, but peel back the justifications and you'll find a childlike tantrum underneath. You insulted me. You have what I want. You won't obey me. Countries don't go to war, people do. And people are emotional, insecure, vengeful, afraid. People want to feel powerful, even if it means stepping on corpses to get there. And the ones at the top, they play the game best. They dress their hunger for control in the robes of nationalism. They call it defense. They call it freedom. They call it divine will. But power is rarely about protection. It's about expansion. It's about saying, I exist and I matter because I can make others obey. History remembers the conquerors, the kings, the warriors. It forgets the farmers who just wanted to live. Because in our collective mythology, power is not peace. Power is victory. And so we grow up worshiping the ones who won. Even if they killed millions to do it, we name streets after them. We carve their faces into stone. We teach our children to honor their flags, but never ask who suffered beneath them. The uncomfortable truth is this: war flatters the ego. It makes cowards feel like heroes. It turns insecure leaders into legends. And it convinces everyday people that violence is noble as long as it's wrapped in a flag. But the ego never stops. It's never satisfied. It always wants more. And when power becomes the goal, war is the method. Because peace requires humility. It requires listening. It requires letting go of control. And nothing terrifies the ego more than not being in control. So we fight over land, over pride, over gods, over oil. But really, we fight because the ego refuses to lose. Until we understand that, until we dismantle the inner empire built on fear and pride, there will always be someone willing to die to feel important, and someone else willing to kill to feel even more. No one thinks they're the villain. Every soldier, every leader, every angry crowd, they all believe they're fighting for something sacred, and that's the most dangerous kind of war, the one that wears the mask of righteousness. We've killed each other over land, over money, over power, but nothing justifies violence like belief, because belief doesn't just live in the mind, it lives in the heart. It ties itself to identity. And when someone challenges your belief, it feels like they're erasing you. Religion, nationality, political ideology, even the football team you root for. Once it becomes part of who you are, you'll defend it with everything you've got. And if someone threatens it, you'll call them evil. That's how war begins, not just on battlefields, but in the psyche. It starts with division. We are chosen, they are not. We are civilized, they are savages. We are victims, they are aggressors. And from there, it becomes easy to hate, easy to dehumanize, easy to justify bloodshed, because now it's not murder, it's justice. But there's something darker underneath. Most wars don't start because of belief. They start because someone powerful wants something: land, oil, control, and belief is used as the tool to rally the masses. Belief gives the powerful a way to recruit you for their war. You're not dying for oil, you're dying for God. You're not killing civilians. You're defending freedom. You're not invading. You're liberating. And just like that, millions are manipulated into thinking war is holy, that violence is redemption, that death is glory. But it's not just about organized religion or governments. It's about the way we divide ourselves in everyday life, the way we cling to identity like armor, the way we say us and them. It happens in our politics, in our tribes, in our comment sections, in our silence. Because war doesn't always begin with missiles. Sometimes it begins with a belief that my truth is the only truth. And once you believe that, there's no room for empathy, only room for enemies. We want the world to be simple, black and white, good and evil. But the truth is, we're all both. And until we can admit that, until we stop weaponizing our beliefs and identities against each other, we'll keep finding new reasons to go to war. Because as long as we need someone to blame for our pain, there will always be someone to burn. Let's stop pretending war is just about hate, because behind the anger, behind the flags and chants and ideology, there's always money. And where there's profit, there's incentive. War is a business, and business is booming. Every bullet manufactured, every drone deployed, every tank moved across a border. It's not just strategy, it's commerce. When a war begins, stock prices in weapons companies go up. Billions flow into defense contractors. Budgets get expanded. Emergency funding gets approved, no questions asked. And just like that, people who will never step foot on a battlefield start getting richer from every explosion. Think about it. Who profits when war breaks out? Defense contractors, private military companies, oil corporations, surveillance tech firms, news media, politicians pushing tough-on-enemies agendas. War generates fear. Fear sells weapons. Weapons need war. It's a self-sustaining machine. And in that machine, the dead are just collateral, the cost of doing business. We like to imagine war as tragic but necessary, but sometimes it's neither. Sometimes it's engineered, not by soldiers on the ground, but by suits in boardrooms, by people who've never held a rifle, never lost a child, never had to bury a friend. They push policies, they fund propaganda, they stoke fear until the people demand action, and then they sell the solution. It's not new. It's not a conspiracy. It's history. From the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about, to private firms lobbying for foreign intervention, to nations that fund both sides of a conflict to keep the chaos going. War is not an accident, it's a market, and the currency is human life. Meanwhile, the people, they're just trying to survive. But when you're poor, war offers a paycheck. When you're lost, war offers a purpose. When you're angry, war gives you a target. And all the while, someone else is counting the profits. This is the part no one wants to talk about. Peace isn't profitable. Unity doesn't need weapons. Empathy doesn't sell news. But conflict pays. And so even if the bombs stop falling for a while, the war machine never really powers down. It just rebrands. It pivots. It waits. Because as long as there is money to be made from suffering, there will always be someone ready to light the match. War doesn't always come with sirens. It doesn't always wear a uniform. It doesn't always drop bombs. Sometimes war slips in through your Wi-Fi. Sometimes it hides in your paycheck, your news feed, your anxiety, because in today's world, the battlefield has changed. But the war never stopped. We used to measure conflict by body count. Now we measure it by instability, by economic collapse, by psychological trauma, by entire nations living in silent siege. The new wars are fought with algorithms instead of armies, sanctions instead of missiles, narratives instead of grenades. And the damage, it's just as real. Only this time, you don't see the blood. You feel it in depression rates, in collapsed currencies, in misinformation campaigns that pit neighbor against neighbor, cyber warfare. A few keystrokes can shut down power grids, leak classified documents, or cripple hospitals. No bullets fired, no cities bombed. But the panic, the chaos, very real. Economic warfare. A single sanction can starve a country without firing a shot. It's clean, it's distant, but the people suffer just the same. Psychological warfare. Propaganda has evolved. It doesn't just shout slogans. It seeps into your feed, your beliefs, your identity. You start to hate people you've never met. You believe headlines that were crafted to provoke, not inform. You become a soldier without even realizing you were drafted. And this war is constant. You can't escape it because it's everywhere, on your screen, in your vote, in your silence. We are all being pulled into battles we don't fully understand. And sometimes we don't even realize we've lost until it's too late. Because modern war doesn't want to kill you. It wants to control you. It wants to shape your perception. It wants to decide who your enemy is. It wants to fracture your reality until you don't trust anyone. And in that confusion, someone profits, someone gains power, and you, once again, are just a pawn. But this war is harder to resist because there's no front line. There's no call to arms, no warning siren, just a slow, quiet erosion of your freedom, of your focus, of your truth. So while you scroll past headlines, switch off the news, or try to look away, understand this. The war hasn't stopped. It's just gone digital, psychological, invisible. And if we keep ignoring it, if we keep pretending peace exists just because we don't hear the bombs, then we've already lost more than we know. It's easy to blame the world, blame the leaders, blame the soldiers, blame the ideologies, blame the nations you've never set foot in. But what if the war isn't just out there? What if it's in us? Not just in those who pull triggers or sign treaties, but in every one of us who silently feeds the cycle. Because war isn't just a geopolitical strategy, it's a human condition, a reflection of our own internal chaos. We carry wars inside us every day. The war between ego and humility, the war between fear and empathy, the war between wanting to understand and needing to be right. We argue to win, not to connect. We mock those who think differently. We reduce people to labels, sides, tribes, us versus them. Sound familiar? That's the same blueprint as every war in history, just smaller, more personal, more invisible. We raise children on stories of glory and conquest. We teach them that strength means domination. We tell them their value is measured by how many people agree with them, how many enemies they defeat, how loud their voice is in a world screaming for power. And then we're surprised when they grow up to wage war in their own way, in boardrooms, in comment sections, in homes, in hearts. We vote for strength, not wisdom. We celebrate vengeance, not forgiveness. We consume outrage like entertainment, because peace is boring, right? But here's the truth. If war didn't live in us, it couldn't survive out there. If we didn't crave control, if we didn't fear the unfamiliar, if we didn't feed on conflict, then those in power would have nothing to weaponize. They sell us war because we keep buying it. Every time we cheer for violence, so long as it's against the people we already hate, we hand another match to the arsonist. Every time we stay silent about injustice, so long as it's far away, we co-sign the next tragedy. And every time we dehumanize someone else to feel safer in our skin, we carve the next battlefield before the ground is even chosen. The truth? We are the architects of the world we live in. And until we dismantle the inner machinery, the pride, the fear, the hate, the superiority, we will keep rebuilding the same world that always ends in war. Because peace isn't a treaty, it's a choice, it's a discipline, it's a daily fight against the darker parts of ourselves. And if we lose that inner battle, what happens outside is just the aftermath. We keep waiting for someone to save us, a leader, a movement, a miracle, some moment in history when the guns go silent and the world finally breathes. But maybe peace isn't a destination. Maybe it's not the opposite of war. Maybe it's what we've been calling the pause between the next explosion. And maybe that's why it never lasts. We treat peace like it's the natural state of the world, as if war is the disruption. But history tells a different story. War is the rhythm. Peace is the interruption. And unless we challenge that rhythm, consciously, constantly, it will play on forever. Because war doesn't need permission. It just needs a crack in our humanity. A moment of silence where fear can sneak in. A single lie told enough times until it becomes truth. And truth? It's fragile. It doesn't scream. It whispers. And too often, we drown it out with the sound of cheering for our side. So what now? What do we do in a world where peace is rare and war is ritual? We start small, because the world is just a reflection of its people, and people, broken, messy, afraid, are still capable of change. You can't stop a war with a tweet, but you can stop the one inside your own home, inside your own mind, inside your own mouth when you want to lash out, dehumanize, attack. You can choose to listen instead of label, to understand instead of accuse, to feel instead of fear. That's where real peace lives, not in treaties or handshakes on television, but in the quiet rebellion of being kind in a cruel world, in the courage it takes to see someone different and not turn away, in the decision to break the cycle, even if the rest of the world still spins in violence. There will always be war in the world, as long as we believe war is just something other people do. But the moment we realize we are all part of it is the moment we can finally start to build something different. Not perfect, not permanent, but real. So don't look for peace in headlines. Look for it in how you treat the people you disagree with. Look for it in how you love, how you speak, how you choose to exist in a world that profits from division. Because if enough people do that, quietly, consistently, fearlessly, then maybe, just maybe, war will no longer be the system. It will be the glitch. And that would change everything.